Hey everyone, Albert Stepniak, your friendly real estate agent here in South Florida, and welcome back to the channel. If you're looking to buy or sell in Palm Beach County, you've come to the right place. I've got the latest market numbers, and let me tell you, things are getting interesting. We're going to break down the July 2025 market snapshot for both single-family homes and townhouses and condos. Let's dive in. First up, single-family homes. A lot of people have been asking me, what's going on with the market? And here's the deal. We've seen a small increase in closed sales. We're at 1,185 closed sales this July, which is a slight bump of almost 1% compared to last year. What's even more interesting is the median sales price. It's dipped just a bit to $613,250, down almost 5% from last year's $644,500. This could be a good sign for buyers looking to get into the market. However, sellers, you need to be aware of a couple of key things. The number of days it takes to get a home under contract has jumped significantly. It's now at 46 days, huge increase of over 30% from last year. We're also seeing a lot more competition, with inventory up by 16%. But don't panic. This isn't a bad thing. It's just a shift from the fast-paced, seller-dominated market we've seen recently. Now, let's talk about the townhouse and condo market. We're seeing some bigger shifts here. Closed sales are down 12.4%, which is a pretty significant drop. The median sales price has also decreased to $300,500, down over 6% from July 2024. Just like with single-family homes, the time on market is going up. The median days to contract is now 70 days, a whopping 45% increase. And if you're a buyer, this is great news for you. The inventory of townhouses and condos is up by almost 15%, giving you more options to choose from. So, what does all this mean? Well, for buyers, you have more options and less competition, which is fantastic. But remember, a good deal is still a good deal. So if you see something you love, don't wait too long. For sellers, pricing is more critical than ever. The days of putting a sign in the yard and getting an offer the same day are largely over. You need to price your home competitively to stand out in a market with more inventory. The bottom line is that the market is normalizing. It's moving from a strong seller's market to a more balanced one. And that's why it's more important than ever to work with an experienced agent who can help you navigate these changes. Now, I want to chat with you about what's been happening in the Florida real estate market, because I know a lot of you have been curious. The data for July is out, and what we're seeing isn't all that surprising if you've been following the market. In a nutshell, things are still a bit slow, but there are some good signs mixed in there. We are still dealing with some of the same big picture issues we've seen for a while now. The economy is a little up in the air, and mortgage rates are still hanging out around 6.5%. Because of this, fewer homes were sold in July compared to last year. Sales of single-family homes were down just a little bit, and condo and townhouses sales saw a slightly bigger drop. But here is a silver lining. The market is actually holding up pretty well. We have more homes for sale now than we did a while back, which is great news for you as a buyer. You have more choices and more room to negotiate the price. Plus, we've seen a slight improvement in the number of homes that are going under contract. It's not a huge jump, but it shows that a little dip in interest rates is enough to get more people interested in buying. Now, let's talk about prices. The median price for a single-family home in July was just over $400,000, which is a small dip from last year. This is the fifth month in a row that prices have been a bit lower, but the good news is that the decline isn't getting any bigger. For condos and townhouses, the median price was around $295,000. These prices have also been down for a few months now, but again, the drop isn't getting dramatically worse. We're in a bit of a balanced market right now. We have more homes on the market than we did a year or two ago, and that's giving you, as a buyer, a lot of power. Sellers are also getting a little more leverage because fewer new listings are coming onto the market lately. It's a dynamic situation, and it really highlights why it's so important to have a professional on your side. If you have any questions about what all this means for your specific situation, I'm always here to help. Now let's break down some of the latest news in the real estate market across the country. Think of this as us just chatting about what's going on, so you can better understand it, whether you're thinking of buying, selling, or just curious. Home sales are on the rise. So it looks like home sales are up. In July, we saw a small but positive bump in sales of existing homes across the country. The Northeast, South, and West led the way with month-over-month growth. We're also seeing a noticeable increase in the number of homes on the market, which is great news for buyers. In fact, the inventory of available homes is at its highest since the COVID lockdown back in May 2020. This means that you have more options to choose from and maybe even some room to negotiate on price. The National Association of Realtors chief economist Lawrence Yun said that this little bit of improvement in affordability is what's helping to get home sales moving again. He pointed out that wages are actually growing faster than home prices, which is making things a bit easier for buyers. We're also seeing that home prices are pretty much stable, so about half the country is actually seeing price reductions. This is good news for the market's health, and it's backed up by the fact that distressed sales, like foreclosures, are at a historic low. This tells us that most homeowners are in a good financial position. When we look at the big picture, the average homeowner has seen their home's value go up by about 49% since before the pandemic, and that's a huge win. Now let's talk about new construction. The market for newly built homes is still facing some hurdles. Even though overall housing starts, which means the number of new homes being built, saw a jump in July, single-family home starts only saw a small increase. This is because builders are still dealing with some big issues. Things like a shortage of skilled workers, high construction costs, and a lot of regulations are making it tough to build new homes quickly and affordably. The chairman of the National Association of Home Builders, Buddy Hughes, said that these challenges are keeping production levels low. He mentioned that a lot of builders are saying that affordability is the biggest problem in the housing market right now. The good news is that the number of single-family homes under construction is actually at its lowest level since early 2021. This means that builders are being more cautious about being new supply, which could help to balance things out in the long run. So, what builders are thinking? How do builders feel about the market? Well, their confidence level is pretty low right now. The builder sentiment has been in what's called negative territory for 16 months straight. This means more builders feel conditions are poor rather than good. High mortgage rates and low buyer traffic are the main reasons for this. Because of this, many builders are still trying to attract buyers with price cuts, and other sales incentives. The survey found that a lot of them are cutting prices and offering incentives to get people to buy. The average price cut is about 5%, which has been consistent for a while now. They're hoping that if mortgage rates start to come down, it will encourage more people to buy. The good news is that the number of builders reporting that they're cutting prices is down just a tiny bit, so that's a positive sign. However, the use of sales incentives is at its highest point since the pandemic began. Builders really want to move their inventory. So I wanted to chat a bit about what's been happening with the mortgage rates lately. It's a topic that can feel a little confusing, but it's super important if you're thinking about buying a house. For a while now, things have been a bit of a roller coaster. After a long period of really low rates, things started to climb back in 2022. This made it tough for people to buy homes, and the housing market slowed way down. But here is some good news. For the last week or two, the rates on 30-year mortgages have been holding steady. Right now, they're around 6.58%. While that's still higher than a year ago, it's the lowest they've been in almost 10 months, which is a really positive sign for anyone who's been waiting on the sidelines. I've also noticed that a lot of people are getting more curious about adjustable rate mortgages, or ARMs. These are different from a traditional 30-year fixed loan because the interest rate can change after a set period like 5, 7, or 10 years. I know what you might be thinking. The word adjustable can sound scary because of the financial crisis back in the late 2000s. A lot of people got into trouble with these loans back then, remember? But things have changed a lot since then. Today, lenders are much more careful about who they give these loans to. You also get a longer initial period where your rate is locked in, which gives you more time to get settled before it could possibly change. People are using ARMs now to get a slightly lower interest rate up front, especially since home prices are still pretty high. It's a way to make the numbers work right now, with the hope that things might be more favorable when the time comes for the rate to adjust. About 10% of people applying for a mortgage today are choosing an ARM, which is a pretty significant jump from what we saw in the last decade. Speaking of positive signs, we've recently seen a pretty big jump in mortgage applications for new homes. Applications for new home purchases were up almost 7% in July compared to both June and this time last year. This is really encouraging and shows that buyers are responding to the slightly lower mortgage rates and the fact that there is more brand new housing available. This increase in applications is leading to more new home sales overall, which is a great sign for the market. It seems that buyers are feeling like they're in a sweet spot with more houses on the market and slightly better rates than we've seen in a while. Of course, rates are still in the mid 6% range, so it's not like the super low rates we saw a few years ago. That being said, many people are willing to move forward, especially if they have some equity in their current home that they can use for a bigger down payment. The bottom line is it's a positive sign for the market, and it's definitely something to be hopeful about if you're planning to buy a home soon. As we've seen, the real estate market is always moving, and right now we're in a crucial window for both buyers and sellers. You can't afford to be on the sidelines hoping for the perfect time. The right time is when you have the right information. That's what I'm here for. If you're ready to make a move and want to strategize on how to win in today's market, let's talk. My contact information is in the description, so don't just watch the market, master it. And for more Florida real estate insights, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss my next video. Thank you for watching.